Okay, character assassination. You know, we touched on it in the first video. We'll go a little more into exactly what it is. And character assassination it's so commonplace today that I don't think the police departments or the judicial system even recognizes that it's happening. And character assassination basically is we have an event that takes place, whether it's a police-involved shooting, a sexual assault, some horrific crime. For this example, we'll use a police-involved shooting as an example. And the next day, of course, we're going to know there was a shooting. The officer's name is not being released yet. The victim, until next of kin are notified, is not released. But immediately, somewhere, somehow, a list of everything this person's ever done wrong is compiled. And it's generally always going to be somebody who's minority or low income person. We don't find this with celebrities. We don't see it with movie stars. We don't see it with athletes and singers. But it's just your common everyday Joe. You know, we find out that, well, when he was in high school, he skipped 2 classes. He failed a toss test. He jaywalked. He got a ticket. He went to jail. And we paint this picture of this person in the media. And everybody's reading in the paper just how bad this guy was and everything that he'd ever done, and he's had this troubled life, and you even hear the term, he was a troubled teen. He was a troubled individual. So we have the court date. We pick our jury, and of course they take say a 500-person jury pool. You go through, you make your strikes, you pick your 12 people. But these juries, these people in the local community have been hearing about this guy and how much of a monster he was. But did the officer know all this information at that point when the incident happened? The trial should be about what happened that night, not what he did 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 4 weeks ago, 3. It's not even relevant. And my point is with it is you get to where I believe you taint a jury. I'm a human. And if you tell me something about somebody and I didn't meet him, you know, if enough people were to tell me, hey, you know, that guy there, you know, he sells dope, he does this, he does that, and I don't meet you, and I'm out there on the streets and I'm just watching you. And you may have totally innocent behavior, but something you do may be consistent with behavior a drug dealer does. And that doesn't make you a drug dealer, but what are people feeding me about you? So what's in my head as an officer out there working? Yeah, that guy there, I'm gonna take a look at him, and he's up to something. It may not even be the case. It's the same thing with some of these shootings. They could be convicted of some of these things, but what does that have to do with what happened? You know, an example, Freddie Gray, irregardless of what people's opinion are of the Freddie Gray incident, regardless of Freddie Gray's history, which we heard so much about, all the things Freddie Gray did, but they never quite said what he did that day. Till 2 days later, what did he do to get involved in police custody, to end up dead? But what went back to the beginning? I don't care what he did 5 years ago. I don't care what he did 4 years ago, 3 years ago. What did he do today? What did he do today? So when you throw out all these old incidents and you dump all this on the public, because as human beings, we want to know why. Why did this happen? Why did this shooting happen? Or why did this altercation with an officer happen? Or altercation between 2 people? Why did it happen? So let's just feed all this history. So what do we do with history? We use history to construct our version of a mindset that would lead to this incident. We start filling in blanks. Well, he's had a violent past, and he did smoke marijuana one time 8 years ago. So I can see him resisting arrest today. How do you know? Trial hasn't even started yet. You're in the jury box, but you've already connected the dots. Why? Because everybody gave you the puzzle pieces, and they gave you the answer key. But the problem is, they didn't give you the test. And this happens so much. There's so many things that are so commonplace, we see it so much that we don't even connect the dots. We don't even see it. So, you know, when we start talking about, you know, the trial was fair, it was an impartial jury, was it really? How fair really was the trial? If you could really ask some of these jurors after some of these trials, throw everything else out, just me and you talking. What'd you think about this guy at the start of the trial? And you'll hear things like probably, well, you know, I kind of had a feeling that he might be guilty because, he did do this 5 years ago. He got arrested for this 8 years ago. When he was 9, he pulled a BB gun out on his neighbor. So, I could see him. I know he's 35 now, but I could see, we start connecting dots that don't even need to be connected. And I think, I would guess to say all of us are not the same person that we were in our teen years. So would it really be fair if somebody connected the dots on all of us? That's what's called profiling. We don't like when the police do it to us, but we can do it from the jury box. We can do it from the street. I don't want the cops profiling me, but all them cops are crooked. All of them are bad. How do you know? Even the ones in your town. Yep, because this cop up in Maine did this. See, they're all bad. But if the cop comes out and says all black guys are drug dealers, oh, you can't. How can you say that? See, we're so busy profiling each other that we don't sit down and talk. Somebody was asking me about, my opinion of racism in policing. They said, is there racism in policing? Absolutely. It's in policing. It's in your job. It's in the church. It's in the hospitals. It's everywhere. It's in your family. It's everywhere. We all have it in us. It's everywhere. But I don't think that there are officers out here, and certainly I'm not speaking for every individual officer, but as a profession, in my almost 25 years now, I don't think there are officers that are saying, you know what, I'm going to go out today and kill a black man. I don't think they're coming to work and that's what they're saying. But there is a disproportionate amount of unarmed black men that are being killed. That's a fact. Whether the police want to accept it and comfortable with it, whether the citizens want to accept it or comfortable with it, it's a fact. We never seem to take these guys alive. But you got guys that are committing terrorist acts and they're taken alive. They're killing 2 cops and they're taken alive. I don't think it's because they're white and these guys were black. I think that America has an inherent fear, and not everybody, but certainly the American culture has an inherent fear of black males. It's there. And I don't know if it's from some of the music. I don't know if it's from maybe the style of dress, whether they don't understand hip hop, but it's obvious. And it's not just in policing, because you can have some black males that can be out of a uniform, just walk into a store. And I can walk into a store out of uniform and people will clutch their purses and, oh my God. Then I can go back in that same store 2 days later in the uniform. Oh, God bless you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for your service. I'm the same guy. Now, some people will say, doesn't that make you mad? Boy, those white people do that. That just makes you mad. No, it doesn't. Because I look at the whole scope of the problem. Okay, you can have a stereotype, but a stereotype cannot exist unless it's perpetuated. It's got to be fed to exist. So what's feeding the stereotype? Maybe it's some of these guys that wear their pants halfway off their behind. They pull up to the convenience store, leave their car running with the windows down, with some of the worst lyrics you could ever throw out, blasting out the window at 400 or 500 watts. They go into, they come in the store, they just the presence, they intimidate. They bully their way out without actually verbally saying anything, just their presence. They, no excuse me, no nothing, just bully their way around the store. And that intimidates some people. So now they come in and they leave. Then I come in. Well, what do you think those people think of me now? They're not even going to give me the chance to meet me. Their mind has been made up by what just came in. Now, is that fair for them to make that conclusion? No. But do we also react upon what we see? Yes. So who's the real victim? It's me. Because I have nothing in common with that guy that just left the store, but now I'm bearing the results of judgment the way he carried himself. So I say that to say that we have to meet people where they're at and understand them where they're at. So the police can't look at the situation and go, well, these people are intimidating and they're a threat. And at the same time, the people can't look at the police and go, well, all of them are bad. One is operating off a fear mode that's either trained or it's just a cultural fear that's put out, that people just look at things that are different or intimidate them and they go into fear mode. And then the other side is saying, well, why are you always shooting me? Well, where are you at? Who are you hanging out with? How are you presenting yourself? And it's not to justify either side. But once we remove the racism tag out and we say we're having a difference of view here, how we're seeing this. But America has to understand first, you can't be afraid of things that are different to the point where you're reacting. Or if you're miscomfort with the difference, it's making you react because people are losing their lives behind the reaction. Is it defensible sometimes? Yes. Can you say it was justified? Yes. But because it was justified, does it always mean it was necessary? That's the key. Was it justified? Yes. Was it necessary? And I'm not trying to question any officer that was in that position, but I am saying that sometimes we have fears that we need to overcome. All of us have a fear of something. You know, mine might be a falling out of an airplane if I don't have a seatbelt on. Somebody will say, well, that's an irrational fear. It may be an irrational fear to you. Just like if I can look at somebody and they go, well, I'm just afraid of tall black guys. And I can go, well, that doesn't make any sense. No, it doesn't because I'm a tall black guy. But maybe if I was a short white guy, I would have that fear. So how do I put myself in their situation? How do I get them to think from the cop standpoint? I let them be in the cop standpoint. That means I got to sit down and say, hey, you're me, dude. And this is the situation. This is where we're at. Tell me what you would do. But we never asked the citizen, what would you do? If you were in this situation, dude, I'm not asking you to put you on the spot. I'm asking you so I can learn from you. Give me advice. What would you do? That's called being transparent. That citizen's going to walk away and go, man, you wouldn't believe what this guy did. Man, he's really trying to learn. He's feeling me. He asked me, what would I do if I was in his situation? Would you tell him? Man, I didn't know. Exactly. And the officer didn't know either. To that moment he got put in it. Then you got to act. You got to react and hope you're right. Because you don't know if you're right until 12 people or a grand jury tell you you're right or wrong. You're not going to win in the court of public opinion because everybody looks at the climax of the video and makes a decision on whether you're right or whether you're wrong. Whether you like white people, whether you like black people, whether you don't like rich people, all these things come in. Nobody goes back to, okay, what happened? Character assassination. Let's smear this victim here. Or if they don't like the officer, because the officer may be outspoken, he may be popular with the community, he may be proactive, let's go and throw him to the wolves. Because policing is a machine that will exist on its own, you know, and it will eat its young. If you're questionable and if they feel that it's easier to throw you out there and to fall on the sword to save the cause, that's the way it's done. And, you know, everybody goes into it knowing, you know, that's how it works. There are some cities that will stick by you, but if you're not doing what you should be doing, they need to put you out there. And that's what the community, I think, is waiting on officers to speak up and go, that's wrong. This is wrong. I may not be able to say you should have done this or should have done that because I'm not there. And I'm not going to second guess any decisions people made because I haven't been in that situation at that time, at that place. But when something is just wrong, you can't just sit back and go, well, it's not my city. I'm not going to say anything. That's why the community right now, I think that is the biggest thing right now the community across the nation is outraged about. How come nobody's saying anything? I work in a job where I'm paid to react to things that are dangerous, things that are wrong, things that are violation of the law, things that just don't quite look right and can go bad. Get out that car and do something. You mandate that I do it. But when I see something, whether I see it on TV as a citizen or wherever else, if a citizen can look at it with no training and go, that's just wrong. And I'm sitting there with 25 years, 24 years and look at it, and somebody says, what do you think? Man, I don't know. I refuse to look that stupid. If you don't have any police training and you know it's inherently wrong and you're able to articulate why it's wrong, maybe not with a bunch of legalese and political opinions, but you basically have it on point. What do I look like sitting there with 24 years going, man, I don't know, I don't want to get involved, I don't want to say nothing. You're involved in everybody else's life out here when you're paid to do it, but when somebody asks you what's your opinion on this, I don't know. You know, in my opinion, this is just you look detached from your community, you look indifferent, you look like you don't want to get involved. But then when you go in the neighborhood and you go, who's breaking in the house? People go, man, I don't want to say nothing. Why? You don't want to help us? That's the first thing we say. We're trying to save your community. You don't want to help us? Well, that's what the citizens are saying now. We're trying to save ourselves. You don't want to help us? If it's wrong, let us know. Hey, yeah, it's wrong. If it's not, then tell us. No, you might be off base a little bit. You didn't know about this. You didn't know about that. Research this. Teach the community how to research things. Then maybe you won't have them jumping to conclusions on videos. Teach them, okay, you saw the little YouTube clip. Are there any more clips out? Research the call. What did that person tell the dispatcher? And the community really wants to learn. There's a lot of things about police culture they want to know. They want to know that somebody's going to teach them. There are officers who get bent out of shape. Man, why did you tell them this? Why did you tell them that? What did I tell them that was wrong? What? Because I'm telling them to start learning what we do? You pay me. You pay me. Why shouldn't you know what I do, how I do my job? Why shouldn't you have some input in how I do my job? I work for you. Name another job anywhere in the world where the boss has no input in how you do the job that he's paying you to do. That's crazy. You know, even McDonald's, the clown is telling everybody how to make the hamburgers. I mean, but policing is the only job in the world where the people who pay you can't tell you how to do your job. And how many times have you heard and seen in videos officers say, don't tell me how to do my job? I'm not telling you how to do it. I'm asking you why you're doing it this way. I'm asking you, is there a better way to do it? I'm asking you, do you have to talk to me like that? Let's sit down and explain to me why you're doing it this way. I'm not telling you how to, but how do we get from, can you tell me why you're doing it? Is there a better way to don't tell me how? Let's roll the film back. God complex. This is a continuing thing. It's like a slinky. The blue wall, the God complex, low-income policing, character assassination. All these little bullet videos, they're all a big slinky in this country. It's going back and forth. It's coiled up. It's coiled up. And nobody wants to straighten it out. And every time we start pulling it, working together, getting it straightened out, somebody lets go. And then it goes back and hits the other person. And what do they say? I'm not working with him no more. Last time he let it go and it hurt my hand. Citizens say that about the police all the time. The police say it about the citizens. They don't care. They don't understand us. They don't care. They don't know what it's like. Really? Why don't they know? You didn't know what it was like when you were in the academy. You didn't know what it was like when you were taking the civil service exam. How did you find out what it was like? Somebody sat you down and taught you. And they trained you. And these citizens invested a lot of money in you. And then you came out on the street and you rode with a field training officer that took you into live incidents and hand carried you through them. Then you got in that car your first year by yourself and you were scared every call you went to. Till those citizens made you feel comfortable operating. But then you didn't need them anymore. You figured it out on your own. I got all the answers. God complex kicked in. You don't tell me how to do my job. I know how to do my job. I'm going to tell you what you need to do to get your life together. How old are you? I'm 56. Well, I'm 24. I'm going to tell you how to get your life together. Really? Communication, gone. And that's that slinky. All these videos, you know, I hope people view them and just get to where you memorize them, teach them, share them, put them out there for other people, learn from them. Because this is a big slinky effect across the country. You don't have to tune into some big political speech. I'm telling you things that I experienced. It's my opinion. I'm not, you know, saying a sweeping indictment of law enforcement or surveillance. I'm telling you things I experienced, my perceptions of the problem. You know, I'm offering solutions at least. I'm not just standing up here complaining. There's an issue, there's an issue. There's enough blame to go all the way around. But I'm going to give solutions. And community policing is either going to be accepted in this country and put into practice by the smart police departments, or you're going to see more civil unrest, you're going to see property loss, you're going to see it, and the police in the community are going to grow so far apart that pretty soon your common, everyday, ordinary police are not going to be enough to maintain peace in your community. They're not going to be enough. So if we don't get this dialogue started, meaningful dialogue, with some sacrifice on both sides, and some transparency, and some police reform, and you know, there's some things that are just going to have to be federally mandated. I mean, you got to get everybody on one sheet of paper. Cultural diversity training should not be optional. It shouldn't be every 5 years. It should be a yearly thing. You should have X amount of hours of cultural diversity every year in this country. How can you be a law enforcement officer out here and not have cultural diversity training. Last I know, I don't know of any pristine white or ebony black or Santar brown. There's no one isolated group of people that have it all together. Even within the same color, there are subcultures. People live differently. You may have somebody who's from Haiti and somebody who's from Somalia and somebody who's from Harlem. They may all be the same color. They have 3 different perspectives. So we're going to have to learn culture here. If you want to do this job, guess what? You ain't never going to make enough money. But either you're doing it to help people or you're not. And if you're not helping people, then you're hurting people. And if you're hurting people, you're hurting your city. And if you're hurting your city, you're hurting your state. If you're hurting your state, you're hurting this country. Now, everybody wants to be patriotic. And everybody wants to say, oh, I want to save the country. Well, what are you doing to save your neighborhood? Because your neighborhood is the first seed of the country. And that's not a big patriotic speech. That just goes to the citizens and it goes to the police. Community policing is the only way that America's going to recover.